Diesels haven't featured much on my channel, as to me they are nowhere near as appealing as steam engines. The odd prototype has piqued my interests in terms of its history or role in service, but for the most part my ore is ensnared with steam. But opportunity came knocking, and an Accurascale Class 55 Deltic ended up in my hands over the festive period. So I thought I'd have a nose and see what all the fuss is about. The engine was purchased by my dad, but arrived before he had a chance to order a modern controller to test it with. As I have a modern Gauge-Master controller, I was the man for the job, the trade being that I could make a full-blown review of the engine. This is Accurascale's second run of their Class 55 tooling, and my dad was specifically after the purple Deltic number 9016, named Gordon Highlander, purely because it was purple, his favourite colour. It stands out as different from the sea of BR blue and BR green that most diesels are painted with. Train buying, after all, isn't a science. Back to the model itself, and we start with another humongous Accurascale box that won't fit in my photo booth. Inside came the warning that led to me being the one to test this. The model should not be used on older DC controllers. Also included is a nice booklet on the prototype, as well as the certificate for the model, as 9016 is an Accurascale exclusive release. Following this is a flurry of additional included detail, including stickers for customising the headcode panels, as well as a key for which trains have which headcode. As a complete diesel novice, this is an invaluable information set. There is a details bag containing a ton of buffer beam detailing to fit at the owner's leisure, another bag containing etched nameplates and shedcode plates, and another bag containing builder's plates. That suite of extras puts a lot of other manufacturers to shame, and we've not even looked at the engine itself. Here it is, and it is definitely the best purple liveried engine I've come across. Not that it's much of a competitive niche. That's not to downplay the decoration here, because it is applied with precision. The crest and nameplate prints look fantastic even under a cruel camera lens, as do the running number, Porterbrook logo, and even the tiny lettering on the shedcode plate. Everything is straight and true with the clean white lining separating the upper purple and lower grey paintwork. The bogies are also fantastically modelled, featuring moulded axle boxes, springs, brake detailing, and separately fitted details to squeeze in a higher level of fidelity. The front of the engine features the headcode panels, which are lit with 4 separate diffusing LEDs. Directional lighting is also present at both ends of the engine through white and red LEDs. There's a load of separate details here, including sprung buffers, lamp irons, handrails, steps, wipers, and time frame specific positions of the horns. Atop the roof are fully detailed exhaust fans, with a finely modelled mesh over the top which feels truly to scale. The engine is just covered in detail, and I could spend forever listing off every little thing that I notice. Honestly, the best thing I can say is to give one of these a look in the flesh, and then you'll begin to really appreciate every little intricate design detail. It truly is an order of magnitude better than any other diesel model I've seen before. Underneath, the detailing looks to be quite sparse, but it's unlikely to be seen anyway when this is on the track, so any omissions here aren't a massive loss in my opinion. The couplings are kinematic and feature NEM pockets, with a nice side-to-side motion that brings them back to the centre position. There was one broken off detail within the box. I'm not sure where it's from or where it goes, but it's not left any glaring omissions or sore spots on the model itself. On the scales, the Class 55 comes in at a whopping 817 grams, the heaviest engine I have ever come across. The die-cast alloy metal chassis, cast bogies and added weight makes this as impressive to hold as it is to look at. The wheel gauging came in at around 14.6mm, which is close to the standard. Though while checking this, I did notice there was some excess lubricating oil on the base plates. This is either leaked out of the model or has been spilled on it during assembly. All around, this is a beast of a locomotive, so I can't wait to see how it runs on the rails. Let's get it on the tracks and give it a spin. The Deltic runs at fantastic, slow speeds thanks to a helical gearbox, 5-pole motor and 2 flywheels. It saunters along at the most impressive crawl I've seen in a diesel model. Even if you turn the controller up to around 30%, it rolls along at an excellent, consistent speed thanks to all-wheel drive and all-wheel pickup. Let's test it over my point work. The Deltic comes with a power pack capacitor for uninterrupted power over joins and point work. There was a slight slowdown on that first attempt, so let's give it another go. That still seemed to slow down a tad. Let's try the other direction. That was fine, but it did slow down a touch on the curve again. The board joins didn't pose any issues. The Deltic rolled right over them. Time for a test around the full loop of track. The third radius curvature seems to be slowing the engine down, with it picking up speed again on the straights. It is advertised as made for second radius track or greater, so I'm surprised it slows down at all on third radius. So, this is a fantastic performer at low speeds, though it does struggle with some of the set track curves. However, Accurascale have said they have geared this loco to run at a top scale speed of 120 miles per hour. Luckily, I have just the exercise for testing how well they've done that, and just the man for the job. It's time to hand the Deltic over to my train racing driver. Some say that he was the original budget planner for HS2, and, in his view, the HS2 bat shield doesn't go far enough. What's needed is a cave with a resident hero that should be located in Gotham, Nottinghamshire. All we know is he's called the Grant. To fit the Grant, I would need to dismember him, and once again he says he's not in the mood for that. So I've imbued his spirit into the engine using a coal-based pagan ritual. Don't ask me to elaborate on that. And off the Deltic goes at 50% speed. It rounds the corner and onto the second board. It heads down the back straight to... Fudge me, that sounded bad. Oh, that's not good. It looks like the coupling has just completely come off. How easy is that to reattach? Okay. With the couplings refitted, let's restart the lap. The Deltic repeats the first half of the circuit flawlessly, making it back to where it derailed. It blasts around with no issues and slows down on the curves. But it makes it round and across the line. That was the most eventful lap yet, and I think after what's come to pass, I'm going to rename that back straight Deltic Pass. Anyway, the Accurascale Class 55 Deltic, on its second attempt, managed to do the lap in 18.54 seconds, which is a scale speed of 54.4 miles per hour. That puts it just above the Bachmann LNER A4, in the top 5 on the board. The Deltics regularly topped 90 miles per hour in real life, and sometimes 100 miles per hour. So at 50% on the controller, that is almost on the money. Accurascale's claimed gearing for a top scale speed of 120 miles an hour seems to be almost bob on. And if this didn't slow down on the radius curves, I think it would have been close to 60 miles an hour at about 50% on the controller. So hats off to them, they've pretty much managed to pull it off. We've just seen some concerning coupling behaviour, so let's see how the couplings perform with one of my Hornby BR Mark I coaches. I don't have room to run much else with an engine this big. They hooked up, but the Deltics dropped it. Let's try again. That's not hooked either. The hook itself seems stuck up on the Deltic. And a rougher try didn't knock it loose. I've swapped to a newer Hornby Mark I with a NEM pocket coupling, and this time they seem to have coupled up first time. Perhaps the Accurascale mounted coupling design is sensitive and tailored to more modern couplings over older styles. Let's send the train on its way. Despite the coupling issue, I do have to say this is probably the best diesel model I've ever seen. There is so much packed into this engine, I've only been able to touch the surface. As it's not mine, I've not taken it apart to fiddle with the marker lightings, high intensity headlight, separate cab lighting, illuminated driver's console, or engine bay lighting. There's so much more inside this engine for the diesel enthusiast to enjoy. It's a stellar engine, even though it's not to my particular taste. On to my final verdict. Decoration. While it's not as intricate as a fully lined and ordained steam engine, the livery and decals are still top tier. They are expertly applied, straight, legible and crisp. Separate details and features are painted accordingly, all coming together to imbue the engine with life. The points scored easily. Details and features. There's tons on the model and included separately, too many to effectively recap here. The separate parts, lighting, shed code guides and everything else makes this a fantastically well-rounded model. Another easy score. Quality. This is where I encountered the few hiccups. The coupling fell off mid-run with almost disastrous consequences had I not built the inch-high embankment, and a small part had fallen off in the box. But on the whole, you get a heavy, well-constructed and well-designed engine. The bulk and delivery of the model manages to outweigh those small hiccups. This is a quality engine in almost everything that it delivers, and in this case enough to make me happy with it. I'll give it the mark. Performance. Despite the theatrical derailment, this ran brilliantly in almost every way I tested it. The only minor issue is the slowing down on third radius curves, but this was not detrimental enough to impede running to a frustrating degree. It's unfortunate, but livable. On the whole, I'm happy with how it performed. The precision of that gearing is an absolute standout. And finally, onto price. My dad paid £169.99 for this and he was happy. Having ran this myself, if I'd purchased this, I'd be blown away. With all the details and extras, You don't just get a model locomotive for your money, but a full package. You get everything you could possibly need in the accessory bags, except maybe some driver figures, but you get head code stickers, etched plates, and information booklets. For £170 in this day and age, Accurascale must have made a deal with the devil to deliver this at such a price. This is an easy price point to give away. On the whole, that's a solid 5 out of 5, making this an essential item I can recommend for any diesel traction modeler, or anyone wanting a large diesel for their layout. It blows the competition out of the water. So, what do you think of the Class 55 Deltic? Are there any other diesel models out there that you feel come close to what Accurascale have pulled off here? Let me know down in the comments below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in another video very soon. Take care.